On Thursday, we began the month of October. And the bishops of the United States have designated this month of October as being Respect Life Month. And today or tomorrow, Sunday, is designated as Respect Life Sunday. The bishops of the United States call us during this month and tomorrow to pause and reflect more deeply on the sacred gift of human life and our role in welcoming, cherishing, and protecting the lives of our brothers and sisters. As disciples, as followers of the Lord, as Catholics and Christians, our faith calls on us to have a respect and a care for all human life. And how we are called to respect and care for human life calls us to action. It calls us to have a concern in a variety of different ways. It calls for us to have a concern that the basic needs of people are met. The hungry get fed, the thirsty have drink, those without clothing find clothing, and the homeless find shelter. Our call to respect life calls for us to respect and love the person that has a different color of skin that we do, or nationality. It calls us to respect the person who may think differently than we. The respect for life calls for us to love our neighbor. The respect for life calls us to have a concern for those who are being persecuted in far distant countries. A respect for life calls us to love the sinner regardless how major the sin. In our scriptures we hear Jesus say, "Truly I say to you, as you have done for the least of these, you've done it for me." As followers of the Lord, as disciples of the Lord, we're called to have a concern and a care and a respect for life in a variety of different ways. On this Respect Life Sunday, we're invited to draw special attention to life at its very beginning and at its very end. Particularly in those moments when life is being threatened the most and is needed of the most protection. At the beginning, it's against abortion. At the end, euthanasia and assisted suicide. In our scriptures today, we hear Paul instruct, have no anxiety at all, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. Remember and practice the training you have received, and then the peace of God will be with you. Have no anxiety at all. You know, I like the idea of not having any anxiety. I don't know about you. I try to avoid anxiety as much as possible. But let's face it, avoiding anxiety is not always possible. Some may say anxiety is a part of life. Having anxiety might be like paying taxes. Let's face it, each one of us pays our fair due of taxes, and each one of us has probably been anxious at least once in our life, if not many times. And there are certain moments in life, particularly in moments of stress and uncertainty, their level of anxiety is higher than at other times in life. And when our anxiety is very high, there's a tendency to get overwhelmed. And when we are overwhelmed, let's face it, we're not always our best person. Sometimes our training can go by the wayside. And we say and do things that we probably would otherwise not do. We might make decisions that might even seem to go against respecting life. And it's when we get overwhelmed by high levels of stress and anxiety that life overwhelms us. We know that we need help. We need help from our God, but we also need help from each other. And it's in receiving help from our God and from each other that we're helped to keep our stress and anxiety from getting out of control, from getting overwhelmed, from doing things that does not destroy life. The beginning of life, at the end of life, are both times in life of high anxiety and stress. For particularly those people who are in the moment. Anxiety and stress that overwhelms, help is needed. And as disciples of the Lord, our call is to help those who are working through the beginning of life and end of life stress and anxiety. And we can lend our help in a variety of ways. Some may say it is in putting forth policy and rules and regulations, and certainly those can help. But I think there's also other practical things. Probably first, and probably in some ways the most simplest thing is we can do is pray. Pray for those who are being overwhelmed by the beginning of life. Pray for those who are overwhelmed by the end of life. We don't have to know the names. We can just simply be praying for them, who and wherever they may be. Second, we can contribute our resources. Financially, contributing to organizations that are helping people work through beginning of life situations. Elizabeth New Life, Right to Life, or end of life situations like hospice. Or if we know a family working through the beginning of life and their family situation, perhaps also even at the end of life we can directly help them. Perhaps it's offering to do the shopping for a family that's expecting a child or just gave birth to a child. Or if a family is working through the end of life, it may be offering to sit with that family member, to give the family of the dying person a break, give them some respite. The reality of working through the end of life was a part of my family this summer as my grandmother died about 2 months ago. In the last 2 months leading up to her death, her health slowly failed. She made the wish known to her family that she wanted to stay in her home. And quite frankly, with COVID, we didn't want to send her to a nursing home because we couldn't be with her either. The family wanted to honor her wish. She needed help. And so the family came together to care for her. At times, the caring and the helping was overwhelming and created anxiety in the family. But it was in the family working together that helped to keep the anxiety manageable. It was in working together that life was respected. In a few minutes, we gather at the table of life, the table where the bread becomes Christ's body and the wine becomes Christ's blood. The table where we receive the body and blood, the very gift of life from our God. It's in receiving we are part of Christ's family. And as part of that family, we are called to respect life. We're called to work together to manage anxiety and stress, to try and prevent life from getting overwhelmed. As we're called to be people of life, how, as a member of Christ's family, are you being called to respect life this day?